Hello, and thank you for joining our podcast today. This is Delegate Life with, I'm Emily Bauman, and I also have Kristen Lee with me.
Yes, we are part of 12 Trees, etc. And our guest host joining us today is Mari McRobb.
Hi, I am a new precinct delegate in Livonia, and maybe like a lot of you, this is all new to me. I've kind of been a bystander with politics, but really felt the need to get more involved based on things that we've seen in the last few years in regards to our liberties, our freedoms, our Constitution itself being protected the way it should be. And so I'm trying to get involved, and I sometimes feel I'm in a little over my head. So Emily and Kristen are graciously helping me understand more what the role of a precinct delegate is.
Thanks, Mari. Today's topic is Wayne County Explained, and what we're doing is we did some training via Zoom over the last several weeks, and we had said we would do a podcast based on what we provided in that training. So again, thank you. So we're going to try to explain Wayne County because it is set up very different than all the other counties in the state of Michigan with regard to their political parties within the county. What this podcast is a practical explanation of how the state of Michigan, under the election law, and the Michigan Republican Party define Wayne County. What this podcast is not is an explanation of how each committee is actually designed and organized or any legal advice. We will defer you back to the chairs of the respective committees to learn more about how each of them are designed. And obviously, legal advice you would find from an attorney. So we're just going to try to give you some information to help explain how this works. So first, we have Michigan State Election Law. The 2022 Michigan Compiled Laws, Chapter 168, Act 116 of 1954, Michigan Election Law, Chapter 25, is where we get what Michigan State says about how our county is set up, how the county parties are set up, talks about conventions and all of that, and it's very detailed. And we can go there and get all that information. However, in 1988, there is a case law, Heitmanis versus Austin, which actually defined that while the Michigan State election law can define how the county conventions are run throughout the state and how Wayne County is set up for county convention, how the actual parties, the county parties and congressional districts, how those are all set up is under free speech and the freedom to assemble. Under the Michigan Republican Party bylaws, it defines how we set up our parties, how we organize them with chairs and the elections, when they happen, all that kind of stuff. So that's where we want to start here, is where we're starting down to where Michigan Republican Party bylaws speak. Yes, Mari has a question.
So you were talking about the purpose is to have convention. Why is that important? Why would I need to go to convention?
That's a great question. Well, as precinct delegates, we are elected as precinct delegates to county convention. So we are the local citizens that are connected to the state level political party, in our case, the Michigan Republican Party. So we are the liaison between our neighbors, our precinct, and this entity called the Michigan Republican Party. And conventions is where we conduct business.
Yeah, and Mari has another question. So we're just so you know, we're gonna make this a little interactive.
Mm-hmm.
We're wanting to take you through the training part of it, but also we're making it interactive with Mari, so she'll ask some questions along the way, possibly, so we can help.
So what happens at convention, or is that something you will address later in the slides?
Actually, we have another podcast that actually speaks about those conventions. So we probably won't go into that depth in this particular podcast, so thank you, but I'll direct you over to one of the other podcasts that we actually do have some information about what happens at conventions.
All right, thank you.
So we wanted to explain today, I know when I started as a delegate, I was mighty confused about Wayne County and how things were organized because there were a number of different committees. I don't know if you've experienced that, Mari.
Yes, I have. And they all have almost the same name.
Right. So what I learned early on in my delegate journey was that Wayne County is unique in our bylaws as well as the state laws as to how we are organized. So, but behind that is the idea of our population. So currently we have 1,775,000 approximately citizens in our county, which makes us the largest county in Michigan. And we have, if you think about the state of Michigan, we are divided into congressional districts. So our representatives in the U.S. House in D.C. in Congress, we have currently 13 congressional representatives coming from 13 congressional districts in Michigan. So our whole state is divided up into 13. And in Wayne County, we hold an entire congressional district within our county. And historically, we've been the only county to do that. So you see here the 13th is the congressional district entirely housed in Wayne County. The 12th is in Wayne County, but it also goes into another county, and the 6th in blue is in Wayne County, but it also goes into other counties. So as far as that's what makes us unique, is the size of our population and the fact that historically we have housed an entire congressional district within our county boundaries.
By comparison, Oakland County actually has 1.2 million, and Macomb County, the next largest, the third largest, is 876,000. So for comparing these, and one of the things that I know that a lot of people talk about is that 1.5 million marker. That's one of those things that's in the election law that we use, but I'll tell you, it doesn't. We may not actually have the importance that we put, significance that we put on it, other than the fact that these are very big counties that can actually make changes to the elections. These are very big counties that we're talking about. These three counties that can actually, we've heard over and over again that Wayne County can turn an election, compared to other ones just by mere size. And this year, so for the last 10 years, yes, the 13th congressional district was the only congressional district fully enveloped inside a county. This year, because of the redistricting, there is one other congressional district that is fully enveloped in one county, and that is the 11th. We're not going to talk about that, but I just want to make sure that we recognize that, yes, now the state of Michigan has two congressional districts that are fully inside their counties, which, again, does not necessarily have to make a bearing on this, but it is something I want to recognize that is going on this year.
Right. So when we think about the geographical boundary of a county, Michigan has 83 counties, and each one, as far as the Republican Party is concerned, has a county committee for their county. So if you see here, we have Lapeer County has what I assume to be called the Lapeer County Republican Committee, who get elected. And then over here on the right, we have Ottawa County. They have Ottawa County Republican Committee. So 82 of our 83 counties have one county level Republican committee which gets elected. And the main first purpose of those committees is to host and run a county convention at which we elect delegates to go to state convention. Yes.
So just so I understand, looking at this picture, I believe this is which county?
Ottawa.
Ottawa County actually is
in the lower right. In the lower right is Ottawa County.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is this picture, this is still one county, or this is three counties?
Nope. So the top left is Lapeer County.
Right.
And it's and then the bottom right is Ottawa County.
Yep, so that bottom right is all of Ottawa County, but it's comprised of three districts. That's the coloring?
So that's a really good question. So at the that's exactly what we want to point out. So The colors indicate congressional districts.
Congressional district.
So Lapeer County, top left, has a county committee, and it is entirely, the whole county is entirely housed in the 10th congressional district. So they're going to have another layer of Republican committee that, how do I say that?
So your slide says one county, one convention. So this Ottawa, even though they have three colors, there's still just one committee?
Correct. At the county level,
At the county level.
the county level, they have one county party, even though they have three portions of three congressional district boundaries within them. This is just looking at the county. It has one county committee that runs their county conventions and conducts Republican business at the county level in their county.
One of the reasons why we showed these was because Wayne County does have three congressional district portions in the Wayne County. As when we go back to that slide, you'll see that. So that's why we showed the Ottawa County, because from that perspective, it's the same. From that perspective, Ottawa County, which has only one county committee and one county convention, does have three congressional district portions inside of it, whereas some counties, like Lapeer, actually they're all inside one congressional district, but they still have one county and one county convention, one county committee. Yep.
All right. Thank you for explaining that.
Okay.
So by comparison, or by contrast, so by comparison here, as Emily mentioned, Wayne County, as you see, has three congressional district portions or a whole congressional district within it. So looking at the colors, we have the 12th congressional district portion in green. The blue is the 6th congressional district portion, and the 13th in peach is a full congressional district. So three congressional district portions or whole within the geographical boundaries of Wayne County. And in Wayne County, instead of having one Wayne County Republican committee that holds a convention, historically we are divided into three county portions, three county committees.
That is by law.
By law, three county committees. So we have the Wayne.
Three county conventions.
Go ahead, clarify.
So three county conventions.
By law.
By law.
And therefore, historically, we have had three county committees which host, run, administrate these conventions. So we talk about, well, historically we had four, now we're down to three. So the Wayne 6th County Committee, essentially, the Wayne 12th County Committee, and the 13th Congressional District operating as a county committee for the purposes of holding conventions. So we actually have three county parties or three county committees for the purposes of conventions. So we have three county conventions in Wayne County, and that's where those county committees come from.
I'm going to step back just a little bit for a minute. I want to kind of talk a little bit about the fact that Krista and I have done this training multiple times since 2021. One of the things that we did, we actually started this training in 2021 because of these questions. And I always like to think about the fact that we may not make, this may be one of those situations where you find things are as clear as mud. But when we break it down and we ask more questions, and so what we're trying to do is break it down, knowing that there's a lot of confusion about how it's designed, and that we don't spend too much time on the other counties in Michigan because they are done differently, but we just want to give a little comparison for that and try to explain what is going on here. So if you have questions, I'm just going to share. Feel free to reach out to us. I'm going to throw that in there just because sometimes I know, even just listening to it myself, even after I've said it, I find it's still as messy and confusing, even though I'm like, okay, I just said it. I do understand it, but so just if you're, I want to add that in here.
Yes. And also, if I might piggyback, if we back up one step and we think again about these congressional district the congressional districts in Michigan, and that we have 13 of them statewide, and therefore 13 congressional district committees that span counties usually, and they have an eye to things federal, right? They're looking at the representatives in Congress. So these 13 congressional districts have an eye to the federal things. Now we're zooming in locally to our county, Wayne County. County parties have an eye to county level business, party business. And so, period, full stop. In our county, we have 3 county committees. Well, county conventions, and historically 3 county committees to conduct those conventions and also to conduct Republican business. And so it's just important to note that we have that going on. And an added layer is that we also have something called the Wayne County Republican Committee, which is a united Wayne County committee. Maybe Emily, do you want to speak to that?
So because of the way that Wayne County is set up for conventions under the law, so this is election law designs that these are the conventions that need to be held, because that's where they can step in on that. While the law does not have the ability to say how we form our committees or what we do with our committees or how they're run like that outside convention, there is the option, which we do have in Wayne County, of having a Wayne County Republican Committee. However, because it doesn't serve the purpose of holding conventions, it's not a congressional district on its own. It has a different level of authority than these other counties for purpose of convention. So that's one of the things that's really important to know, is that there is it doesn't have the same recognition that the other county committees would have, because those other county committees do hold conventions. So that's something to think about. Well, we do have that because it is an opportunity to actually be serving at a county level where they're looking at the entire county, which actually feeds into the 6 chairs. Because if you look at Wayne County, there are 6 chairs of 6 committees, because you have the Wayne 6th Committee, you have the Wayne 12th Committee, you have the 13th Congressional District, there's 3, plus you have the 12th Congressional District, which serves, which of course the 12th Congressional District has a portion in Wayne and Oakland. Then you have your 6th Congressional District Chair, which has a portion in Wayne as well as a couple other counties. And you have your Wayne County Republican Committee. So there's 6 chairs that are serving 6 different committees within Wayne County.
Right. And remembering that the 13th Congressional District also holds a county, they operate as a county committee for the purposes of holding a convention. So it's one chair for kind of both a congressional district and a committee.
Because once the convention's done, it's done.
Right.
So does that mean the representation for Wayne County as a whole, not the districts, but Wayne County as a whole, would then be the WICRIC? Or
what do you mean representatives?
If
at the party level?
At a party, yes, Republican Party level, to help.
So no, because Wayne County Republican Committee is not recognized that way. And you're only allowed one political party. So again, I don't want to go too deep here, because now we're going to get into a formation of it. So I don't want to make sure we don't. I think I want to keep it, because we did say this is not about how they're designed. That I would take to the chair of the Wayne County Republican Committee about what they do and how they do that. But I will say that there is only one political party per congressional district and one political party per county. But because we have 3 counties
within
in Wayne County, so that's something to think.
And so I might add that at the Michigan Republican Party state level, each of the 13 congressional chairs serve on our state committee as voting members.
Okay.
The county chairs, so 82 county chairs from the rest of the state, and the 3 Wayne County chairs meet together in a collaborative committee at the state level to share ideas and network with each other at our state committee meetings, but they don't have a vote
Right.
in state central committee unless they happen to
Be a proxy
be
for
a
somebody.
proxy
Right.
or actually serve in multiple roles.
But your question does tie into what we're going to talk about next.
Okay.
So, the Wayne County opportunity. I recently read a book called The Doctrine of the Lesser Magistrates and met the author of a book who really brought to light the opportunity that we have at county levels. So think back with me to COVID time in Illinois, right? We think of really blue state, a lot of tyranny, right? Overreach of government. Governor Pritchard mandated that the state of Illinois was shut down for business and no business could open without him saying so, which sounds a little familiar to our state. And interestingly enough, there was a group of county commissioners, so county level elected officials, that had been trained in something called the Doctrine of the Lesser Magistrates, which is at its heart saying that the lower form of government has the opportunity and responsibility to push up and against tyranny at a higher level of government. And so seeing that the governor was making an edict that was overreaching, the Board of Commissioners voted that their county would be essentially a sanctuary county for business, that businesses were open in their county. And it didn't have any legal authority, but they spoke up. I don't remember if it was a resolution, but they put it out there that their county was open for business. And interestingly enough, a couple days later, 7 days later, after this county board stood up, the state police issued a press release that they wouldn't arrest anyone in the state for defying the governor's edict. And imagine this, a few days later, the governor backed down his edict. So the moral of the story is that in a blue state like Illinois, one county that stood up for freedom, stood up for the rights of its citizens, pushed back on overreach of government and freed the entire state of Illinois and their business owners to be open for business. So conceptually, and we've been talking a lot about precincts, it's really helped me to think about this county as a geographical distinction, and the county commission and the county level government, sheriffs and other things, and the opportunity that we have as a county, at a county level, which in Michigan we have some counties that are more on the front lines of that, such as Ottawa and Lapeer County. Wayne County has a long way to go. However, the same concept applies of the Doctrine of the Lesser Magistrates, because what's a smaller level of governance than a county is the city and the township. And so we have a number of cities you can see looking on the map here, and school districts even, within Wayne County. And so while we want to think long term and be planning and working toward a Wayne County that stands for the Constitution and freedoms, right now we have an opportunity, particularly in 2023, to be looking at our cities, because we have city council races coming up. And that's a lesser magistrate, a city council, a mayor. Those are key roles to protect citizens' rights, to protect the Constitution. So while I look forward to the day when Wayne County is a sanctuary for medical freedom rights and for the preborn and for our constitutional gun rights, I think it's important to note our time in history right now, that we have 2023 city races upon us and opportunities to run and support candidates and pay attention to issues at the city level. Yes.
So regardless of what district we're in, if we're in Wayne County, we should be getting involved in these local races. County commissioner, school board, all those.
Yep.
Okay.
And this year, again, as Kristen mentioned, the key offices that are being elected this year are your municipalities. So while county commissioner, we need to be paying attention to them. That is a 20, and I know there's a lot of very important races in 2024, but we do need to start, we need to make sure we are looking at the 2023 races because our backyard, every one of ours backyard is open, is available because there's in so many towns and cities like our, even in one county. So my question to all of you who are listening is, do you know in your city or township what offices are up for election? Do you know who is running again? Do you know where there's opportunities? Do you know someone that could run for those offices and serve and have the opportunity to serve in that? Because these are the offices, less mathematically, less people come out in an off year, in an odd year election, less people come out to vote, but that's also an opportunity because you can get to more people and encourage them to come out to vote and explain to them. So and I believe all municipalities are nonpartisan.
Hmm. And to piggyback on that, even an area where I want to learn and grow in is the opportunities in the city that are appointed or are volunteer that have influence. Obviously, we can go and speak up at city council meetings. We can sit in study sessions. But I do believe there are positions within the city that are where you apply and you get hired or you volunteer on a board. And often when there's a void, right, this is where evil can come in or just poor decision making. They take whoever has their hand up versus stepping in and serving in maybe a behind the scenes position that doesn't have a lot of glory, but ultimately could have a huge impact on preserving freedom, protecting freedom, bringing to light things that need to be brought to light. And so maybe it's you're listening and it's not your time to run for an elected office, but you have some time to serve, to volunteer, or to even have a new career, be looking at what municipal government positions exist.
So I have a question. So I think a lot of us that are precinct delegates got elected for this because we want to get involved, but we don't know where to start. We're not quite sure what to do. I know there's a lot of subcommittees getting formed that we can get engaged in. But to your point, Kristen, besides that, what can we do and even tell our friends who aren't precinct delegates? Where can we point them to get involved in these volunteer opportunities or pay for hire opportunities to help make a difference and get conservatives involved?
Every city, I believe, has a website. I'm not sure, they're not all the same. They might say city of the city, then .com. There might be other ways, but every city, if you do a search on your city, on your respective city, you want to go through the menu and look for boards and commissions. Okay, start there because those are the greatest opportunities when we talk about influence. These are opportunities you can serve and we put on boards and commissions. There are boards, and again, it could be anything you're interested in. There is the beautification board that you just want to help people, beautify their neighborhoods. There is the aging. There's usually an aging board. There's I know in ours we have one that is for disabilities, and we have a commission on that. And so it's boards and commissions. They're actually a little different. That can be we can talk about that maybe another podcast. That might be an idea. But boards and commissions, and what you will do is there will be a method to apply for a particular board or commission. You can see when there's office. There's some of them will show that there's vacancies. Some will show that there's an open that someone's term ends this year. So that's all going to be on a city website. Or you can also, there's boards and commissions at the state level. So for what it's worth, and the county level. So each level of government is going to have a board and commissions that you could serve on, and you could apply on, and even make phone calls to try to get find out who at the county level, who at the state level is going to appoint or put them on. Sometimes I know I was told that it's really good to talk to a city council member and say, hey, I want to be on this board, so that they can basically put that in and recommend somebody and things like that. So each city is going to do it a little bit differently based on the way that they structure uh, their own organization, and then even the county levels. So, but that hopefully that helps.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So this has been a really great conversation. Thank you, Mari, for joining us and helping host today. This gave you some education, some hope, and encouragement in your delegate journey.
It did. Thank you very much. Very informative.
Thank you. This has been a Delegate Life podcast brought to you by 12 Trees, etc. I'm Kristen Lee.
And Emily Bauman.
And Mari McGrath.
Thank you for joining us today.